in your appetite to where you ain't even hungry for some of the things that you think you need. Let's get into this lesson today. The first outline says, where is Jesus? Let me set this up. Jesus had been here teaching, and the disciples had now got into the boat, and they were finna go, but Jesus done disappeared too. And the reason Jesus disappeared is because the people had an earthly mission for Jesus, but Jesus had a divine mission. And because the divine mission trumped, if I can use that word today, or overrode what people's perception of why he was here, Jesus departed out of the place so that he could go and spend some time, but it allowed the people to decide, why are we seeking Jesus? Why are we out here looking for Jesus in the first place? And the lesson picks up here. It says, the day following, after the disciples left and Jesus disappeared, the day following, when the people which stood on the other side of the sea saw there was none other boat there save the one wherein the disciples were entered, and that Jesus went not with his disciples into the boat, but that his disciples were gone away alone. All right. These people had came to hear Jesus, and not only had they come to hear Jesus, they received something because they were in the presence of Jesus. They came hungry, but they left satisfied. Listen to me. They came one way, but they left a completely other way. And can I tell y'all this? The dinner was over. The lunch had been done. The disciples got in the boat because they was going to the other side. But they was trying to figure out now, where's Jesus at? Can I tell you this? I've been to some restaurants, and I've eaten there for lunch, and my wife didn't know this, but I liked it so much, I called her and said, we're going to eat this for dinner. She didn't know I had it for lunch. Because what I had for lunch was so good, I wanted it again for dinner. She hadn't had any yet. But because I had already had some, I wanted some more. Y'all get it? These people saw the disciples getting ready to leave, and they knew the disciples had ate what they had eaten. But the disciples didn't supply what they had eaten. And the people wanted to know, where is Jesus at now? Because whatever he had to eat, we want some more of it. Don't know what it was he put in that bread. Don't know what the missing ingredients was. Can I say this? Big Mama and them been making bread a long time, but she ain't never made no bread like this. Can y'all understand? I'm trying to get you to understand this morning. It was something in this bread that they only got from Jesus that changed their perception of being satisfied. And because they could not figure out where he was, they began to look. Watch this. Howbeit there came other boats from Tiberias, not unto the place where they did eat bread. And after the Lord had given thanks, watch this. This is the bread that was not plentiful before he had given thanks. But they noticed something happened after Jesus had given thanks. Does anybody know what happened? Everybody's needs were met off of a little. It increased, but it only increased after he had prayed over it, after he had given thanks. Now, they got to witness this, and y'all got to catch this. His disciples were there too, and they had the same bread Jesus had, but they couldn't multiply. See, this was before Jesus had told them, without me, you can do nothing. But the people in the crowd didn't have the foreknowledge of knowing that. All they understood was Jesus had the bread now. And when Jesus had the bread, he can increase it. See, that's really a message for somebody who is living in vernacular terms of today. Maybe you ain't got enough bread. I'm sorry. I had to go there this morning. Maybe you ain't got enough bread. And you think you can't supply all your needs. You're right. But if the Lord speak over your bread, if the Lord will pray over this little bread you got, he can multiply it to make it sustain any and everything that you need it to do. Now here's the takeaway from that. You can't. You can't. You can do like I used to try to do it, flip it, roll it. You can't make it increase to where it's going to keep taking care of you the way you need it to do. You can re-up it. You can do all you're trying to do. But you can't make it happen. You know why you can't make it happen? He made it that way. You need him to increase this bread that's in your life. Yes, sir, I'm sorry. They still the same. Okay. What he has said, what has been said today, is that the people are following him because they're hungry. And because that Jesus had fed them, they are followers on or hangers on because they want more of what they had. Can I tell y'all this? Here's what grabbed me about this part of the lesson since he brought that part out. They really weren't following him because he multiplied the bread. They was really following him because he met their needs. And because, here's this, both of those are right. They wanted some more, it didn't cost them nothing. Jesus is really laying out a spiritual pattern right here. They wanted some more of what he had already given them, and it had not cost them anything, and they were glad recipients to get more of what didn't cost me anything, but satisfied me. Can I tell y'all this? You done spent your money on a whole lot of things only to find out it don't satisfy you. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Jesus knew the human heart. And can I tell y'all this? That is actually the main reason he even performed this at this particular time. He knew the people were hungry. But can I tell you this? Jesus did not waste an occasion. Sometimes we miss a teaching opportunity. I'm going to say it, Lord, I'm going to say it. We take teaching opportunities and diss people all the time. When it could have been a teaching opportunity to bring them up, we use it as an opportunity to mash them down. Not to give them the spiritual sustenance that God created when, watch this, you didn't even create the situation. He did. But he wanted you to use it to, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. But sometimes we miss it and say, fool, get out of my way. This ain't the time or the place for that. When in reality it is. Because now you need to lift up the bread of life. That person that you dissing might be hungry, but now you've just fed them leaven. But he created that opportunity for them to have real, true bread. Somebody's phone ringing, Jesus calling this morning. I better get that. But watch this. It says, howbeit there came other boats from Tiberias, nigh unto the place where they did eat bread. After that, Jesus had given thanks. When the people therefore saw that Jesus was not there, neither his disciples, they also took shipping and came to Capernaum. Watch this. Seeking Jesus. They had just partook of something that the Lord had offered. Because they could not trace where Jesus had went, they went looking for him. I don't know about you this morning, but I came to see the pastor. I came to hear some preaching and teaching today. But the culprit of me coming today is to make sure Jesus was here today. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? I know he done spent time with Jesus all week, and I'm going to partake of the meal that he serves today. But I didn't come with no bread myself. I got some bread too. I got a little bread myself. Pastor got a pocket full of bread, and I ain't got but a few pieces. But I want some of that he bringing today too. But I've been eating all week, you understand? And the main reason I'm here is because I've already tasted the bread. And I want some more. I come seeking Jesus. And I guarantee you, he going to lift him up today. That men, women, boys and girls might be drawn unto him. Yes, ma'am. Sure. Yes. Watch this. She said, even if they were merely attracted to the miracles, they were following him, it would put them, watch this, in the right vicinity at the right time to receive a blessing from God, that it would change their lives. Can I tell you this? It used to bewilder me why some folks came to church. But I found out it don't matter what brought them here. It don't matter what brought them here. Maybe they saw the preacher turn a flip on the parking lot. He doing somersaults out there in the parking lot. And that made him come in to figure out what's got him turning flips. But whatever got him here, now they got a chance to partake of the true and living bread of life. She said even if the miracles drew them, even if the miracles brought them to the presence of Jesus, it's okay. Because he did what he intended to do, get their attention. And can I tell you, when God truly has your undivided attention, that's when he can work it out in your life. That's when he can change some of your own idiosyncrasies in your own life. So you can quit looking at everybody else crazy and straighten out some things here. All right, that was unnecessary. No, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Mm. 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 We can't. The question was, if this bread of life has never done anything for us during our sinful life, and we know it, how can we proclaim to others that he is the true bread of life? Can I tell you this? A lot of people don't, my wife gonna get me for this, but there are some things my wife will not eat. And I always ask her, hold on, let me qualify. I always ask her, have you had some before? And she said, no, but I don't like it. And I said, how you know you don't like it? It looked like on. But can I tell y'all this? That's exactly how people are with the bread of life. They don't like it, but they don't know why they don't like it. They ain't never had none. And they done made up in their mind, y'all gonna eat all that bread y'all want. I'm on a diet. And I ain't eating no bread. Because I'm trying to lose weight. By the way, on my Golo plan, I'm supposed to be cutting out bread. But there's one bread that's going to stay in my diet. That one bread that's going to stay in my diet. Because if I can't lose weight by eating that one, so be it. So be it. But can I tell you this? There are people who have never tried the bread of life, and because they foolishly have decided that I don't like it, but I ain't tried it, and I ain't going to try it because I don't think I'm going to like it, that is spiritual fallacy. It is. They try to equate spirituality with carnality. And there's some things you might not eat in life, but if you don't eat this bread of life, it ain't the same equivalency is what I'm trying to tell you. You got to eat this bread. All right, let's keep moving. And when they found him on the other side. Now let me put it like this. They couldn't figure out where Jesus had went. And instead of waiting on him to come, they went looking for him. Hello, Christians. Can I ask y'all this? Sometimes you can't trace him and you can't find him, but the problem is we sit down until he come back. Oh, y'all didn't like that. Here's this. Sometimes when we need Jesus to do something for us, the Bible says you have not for you ask not. He says ask, seek, and knock. We understand the ask part, but we stop on the seeking and knocking. We don't pursue what we're asking for, and we sure ain't knocking on heaven's door. These people had tasted the goodness of Jesus, and they went looking for him because he was no longer where they had located him. They went looking for him. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to seek him other than where you at. Get up, get out, and do something. And when, watch this, because they went looking for him, I love this next verse. And when they had found him. Because they went looking for him. Somebody help me teach this morning. Because they went looking for him, they found him. Watch this. I love old school saints. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Watch this. Salvation is such a process that once we say, we still have to keep seeking him. It's such a process that sometimes he has to save us every day, not from eternalness, but from the spiritual woes of this day. He had to save me from stepping into something I don't need to be in. He had to save me from fixing my eyes on something it don't need to be on. Yeah, I'm a preacher, read the Bible every day, but sometimes I take my eyes out the book and look around. I look around, then I have to get back in the book. That wasn't even for this lesson, okay. And when they had found him on the other side of the sea, watch this, they began talking to him. They said unto him, Rabbi, when camest thou hither? Lord, when'd you come here? When'd you show up here? Well, maybe I was here waiting on you to get here. Yes, sir. Omnipresence. He was not yet glorified, but he was already able to know your thoughts, my thoughts, and I could already be where you're going, even though I was not fully glorified in the spirit yet. Yes, ma'am. He had manifested himself. He disappeared, and all of a sudden he here. But the truth of the matter is, he got there the same way the disciples got there. He traveled there. Not with them. Come on now. He didn't go with them, but he got there in the same fashion. They went over the water and he did too. Now we're into semantics this morning. In other words, he did not disappear and just show up. He went away to pray. And after he prayed, he walked across the water to show that he had power over the water. Yes, ma'am. Let me put a pin in this thing right now so I can let the air out of it right quick. They couldn't figure out how Jesus, because watch this, not only were they at the port, they knew where all the boats were. And wasn't no other boats missing. The one the disciples got in was gone. And all the rest of them was accounted for. But we can't figure out if he over there, how he got over here. Psst, let me let the air out of this balloon. But in order for them to figure out how he got there, he still didn't tell them. He left it to their imagination. But all they understood is, Jesus, how you get over here? And not only did they wonder it, they asked the question. Can I say this to you all in the middle of this lesson? And I'm going to hurry so we can finish it. But there's some things that God don't share with us, not because he don't want us to know, because you won't ask. Yes. Sure. Let me repeat what he said. Jesus is up to something here. He's not just feeding folks. What his statement was, Jesus was up to something, and he wanted to create a spiritual thought process and take them out of a natural thought process to get them to thinking how he was thinking, to why he was doing what he was doing. And even if they didn't understand, watch this, the how, they could understand the that. I don't know how he doing what he doing, but I do know that he doing what he doing. Can I tell y'all this? It's so many people today still trying to figure out the how. Rest into that. Can you rest into that? You might not never know how he doing it until you get on the other side and you get to sit on his lap and you say, Father, tell me how you did that. But it's some things you need to rest in a blessed assurance. I might never know on this side how he doing it, but I do know that he doing it. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. Watch this. And when they saw him, what he said is, Jesus was slowly laying out to them that they cannot live by bread alone. He had fed them, and they understood that this little bit of bread that they ate was more than enough to satisfy their hunger, and they wanted some more. But what he said is, he was slowly teaching them that man could not live by bread alone. Watch out now. Can I tell y'all this? What she just said, it was to show that when you want more of God than his blessings, it will cause you to pursue God that you might receive God. Can I tell y'all this? I used to wonder something, and my daddy messed me up with this. He says, I'm not going back down to the church because I ain't buying that preacher a new Cadillac. He did. He messed me up when I was a kid. I shouldn't even say this out loud. But I'm going to say this now. But my mama kept going to church because my mama didn't care whether the preacher had a Chevrolet or a Cadillac. She wasn't there for that. She was there for the bread, for the true bread. And because she was going for the true bread, she didn't care what my daddy said. Eventually, he would go back and do some things. But she understood it was not about the physical things that she had or the preacher had. It was for the spiritual bread that we received growing up because she refused to rest in, we had lack. And it seemed like others had plenty. But she understood this. If I keep going and getting his spiritual bread, he'll multiply it when he wants to. He'll do what with it what he wanted to do. Now she stay with me. And she can put her feet up. You understand? Because she kept eating the bread. But not only did she keep eating the bread, Mama, bless you, she made me eat the bread too. And because I ate the bread then, I didn't realize it. When I walked away, I didn't realize I was going to get hungry again. If y'all worry about y'all kids done walked away from this, if they've already partaken of the bread, quit tripping. They'll be back to get some more. If they've already eaten of the bread, you can't forget it once you eat it. All right, yes, sir. He was teaching his disciples. At this very time, he was teaching his disciples. The main fact that he was teaching his disciples were there are certain things that will only happen if they come through me. I'm going to give you the power to do a whole lot of things, to pray, to lay hands on the sick. But there are some things that will only happen if you come through me. Jesus said this, and what he was saying is he was trying to open up. The key to this whole thing is he was trying to establish spiritual faith. That I need y'all to trust me in what you can't see over everything you might not be able to see or understand. If you put your trust in me, it will overshadow or override all the rest of that. Now watch this. Jesus said, verily, verily, I say unto you, seek me, not because, no, ye seek me, not because, watch this, ye saw the miracles, but because you did eat of the loaves and were filled. Because you understand that I met or satisfied a physical need. He was dealing with them in physicality in order to get them to spirituality. Old pastor of mine, when I was about 12 years old, and I've been hearing it all my life. It was so profound when I heard him say it, but I hear it all the time now. You cannot clean the fish until you get them in the boat. Sometimes we try to give carnal or natural people spiritual truths that are too much for them to eat. Jesus was just trying to explain to them or show them through something physical in order to get them to the spirituality of it. Y'all get that? Sometimes we try to be so deep that we drown folks trying to get there. All right. Y'all don't like that either. Here's what Jesus said, labor not for the meat which perisheth, but for that meat which endureth unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto him, for he hath God the Father sealed. That is the end of the first deal, and I'm going to run through these last two pretty quick, but I really want you to understand. They did not know where Jesus was, and because they could not trace him or track him, they sought him. They went seeking after him. Now watch this. Second outline, what shall we do? Then said they unto him, what shall we do that we might work the works of God? Jesus answered and said unto them, this is the work of God, that ye believe on him whom he hath sent. Jesus, right here, cut religion up. The Sadducees and Pharisees were going through a whole lot of practices and principles and never, ever got to God. He said, the work, here's what it is I need you to do. Believe. Believe in who? In his son that he sent to save your soul. That's what your work is. And can I tell you, after 2,000 years later, it's still the work of the church. But I got perfect attendance. I ain't cussed nobody out this week. Your work is to believe. Because even when you mess up, you know you can go to him and ask for forgiveness. But here's what he said. I like what David said. I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praise shall continually be in my mouth. If we would bless the Lord at all times and keep his praise continually in my mouth, you wouldn't have to cuss folks out. Because you got a praise in your mouth. It's hard to praise and cuss at the same time. Y'all work with me this morning. Y'all work with me this morning. It's hard to praise God and cuss Junebug out. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Jesus is teaching a principle, a spiritual principle here. He's saying, you labor, I don't want you to labor for the things that are perishing. I want you to labor for the things that are eternal. He's teaching them, that's a spiritual nugget that he gave them. And it's the same one that today. Grandma says, I'm sending up my timber. Grandma and Grandpa used to say, I'm doing things that please God today that ain't got nothing to do with trying to please people today. He said, labor not for the things which perisheth, but for those things which are eternal in the heavens. Let's go and get through with this. Jesus answered and said unto them, this is the work of God, that ye believe on him whom he hath sent. They said, therefore unto him, what sign showest thou then that we might see and believe thee that thou doest work? Now they asked this silly question as if they had not already saw what he had already done. Are you going to do something else to show us another sign that we can believe you. And he could have said, fool, do you not understand what you've already seen? I just took this little bread and these. Now, y'all following me, but y'all ain't paying attention. You in class, but you ain't even opening the book. If you would take the time to take a pencil out and just take a few notes. If you would have been taking notes a while ago, you could have looked back and said, oh, yeah. 2 fish, 5 barley loaves, fed all these folks. Oh, Lord. He doing. I don't need no another sign. Here's the deal. We always looking for a sign to see if he's going to do something. He's already done enough to show you. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. 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 Partly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. What he said was, and I'm going to answer both questions real quick, and we're going to be out of here. What he said is bread can be taken in 3 different connotations: monetary, the natural bread, and the words of Jesus, the bread, the spiritual bread. And in reality, Jesus was fusing all of these things together. The natural things of life to expose the spiritual things of life. Because we do not truly understand the true spirituality of things, he shows them to us in the natural things of life. And that's how we understand that because eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, he has to show us in things that we understand so we can comprehend that which we don't yet. Yes, ma'am. That's right. What she was saying, and I'm on my way out right now. She was saying that even the devil can do wonders in life. But he was really taking them to showing him, now you know who doing it. You ain't got to worry about if the devil doing this or if so-and-so doing this, if Pharaoh's sorcerers are doing this. Because you are with me and I'm doing this, your faith ought to be in me. Because you walking with me and I'm performing these things. Not anybody else. Nobody else gets credit. But on my way, here's what he said. They said, our fathers did eat manna in the desert, as it is written. He gave them bread out of heaven. Then Jesus said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto thee, Moses gave you not that bread from heaven, but my Father giveth you true bread from heaven. He said, let me fix this. You think Moses fed you. That wasn't even, Moses didn't even have the capacity to feed you. He could have went on and said, Moses didn't even have the capacity to feed himself. My Father fed you and Moses when you lacked what you needed. Watch this. For the bread of God is he which cometh down, not it, but he which cometh down from heaven and giveth life unto the world. Then said they unto him, Lord, evermore give us this bread. And Jesus said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. Here's what he said, and we remember it every first Sunday when we do communion. He said, this is not the bread of heaven that came down and your fathers did eat and die. He said, but he who eats this bread shall never die. The spiritual takeaway from this whole lesson is God uses natural things to shift us into spiritual mindsets, but never for us to be so consumed with the physicality that we don't see the importance of the spirituality, even in the things that he's using to step us over out of carnality into spirituality. God bless you this day.
Thank you, Reverend Ray, for almost inciting a riot. Oh, I would just hate if you got excited when you were up here teaching. I would just hate if you ever get excited. What a great lesson this morning, and then so many thought-provoking things that I heard from all of you about this morning. You know, as we leave here this morning, one thing we can understand about this audience, in the first part of this outline, they came to Jesus for all the wrong reasons. All the wrong reasons. All the wrong reasons. All the wrong reasons. Because they were connected to physicality. You know, the thing about this, when he called himself the bread of life, you have to understand the internal impact of that statement. Because every other bread that we have, not only is it perishable, it doesn't last. It doesn't last. If you buy a loaf of bread today, if you get through the week, you know, because all y'all look at expiration dates now, and so you're going to be looking at the expiration date, and you're going to get rid of it. Well, a lot of us look to see if there's any green on it. And in the day when you were really trying to make it, you just tore the green off and made the rest of it toast. You know, but because, listen, you know how we are. You getting ready to make a sandwich, and the bread that you have got a little green on it, and there's no more bread. Now, I know certain people see that as a problem, but I know other people that know how to adapt. You know how to adapt. Because by no means am I going to throw this bread away. Well, here's the thing you have to understand. You have to be careful about throwing away Jesus as your bread. And we were approaching for the wrong reason. That's what we do. You know, there one verse here, verse 27, he says, labor not for meat which perish, but for the meat which endure unto everlasting life, which is the Son of Man shall give unto you, for him that have God the Father sealed. See, that's the kind of bread we ought to be looking for. That bread is going to last. And you know the other thing about this second outline, I'm so sick and tired of people always looking for signs. We became Christians that always did. I hear people always talking about the Lord showed me and the Lord told me. You got 66 books of understanding that are plain to understand. But we got people always seeing something. And I've shared it before. I was in a church one night, and we were in church, and the preacher, he said, you see that? I said, see what? He said, look back over the door. I looked. He said, you see it? I said, no, I don't see it. I said, what? You know? He said, you don't see that angel? I said, no, I don't see it. And I took my ballpoint out, and I popped it out. Because I didn't know what else he was going to see, but he was going to see this ballpoint. I'm not about all that foolishness. I'm not about all the, and see, some of the stuff people saying about Jesus don't match him. It don't even match his character. And the problem that these people had in this lesson, they were seeking him for the wrong reason. But if you notice, as Reverend Ray taught this lesson, the progression was always back to the real meaning. When they were looking for Jesus, I wrote myself a note. I said, God is the only person that can stay where he is, but meet you where you're going. Stay where he is, but meet you where you're going. Nobody can do that but God. Because while you are planning to go, he already knows your destination. When he was talking to them about eating, here's the thing, and Reverend Ray talked about the little thing about it. Eating is, well, an appetite is the sign of health. But here's the thing about it. You can have a healthy appetite and still eat the wrong food. Eat the wrong food. Wrong food. And so, you know, as consumers, a lot of time when we talk about him being the bread of life, and you have to understand that that bread of life is not talking to our mortality. You know, get on the diet now, the first thing they tell you, don't eat bread. How many of y'all love bread? I just love bread. If you ever go to Texas Roadhouse, you sit there and you eat all the bread they got. And then you want to know if you can get a carry out. You tell them to bring that last batch. You know you're not going to eat it. You're going to carry that load. Well, guess what? On Sunday morning when you leave here, you ought to load up with bread. You ought to load up with bread, and then you ought to go share that bread. If you don't share it, just consume it. Well, the statement was, in this walk, we need to always take this bread with us. Well, I'm not saying that we don't, but sometimes we consume it to crumbs. We share so little of Jesus because sometimes selfishly we try to keep so much of ourselves. Well, it's not. See, you can share bread without offending. I don't necessarily. Listen, one of the things that I find out, sometimes our presentation is offensive. You trying to force feed folks. You're going to eat this bread. I'm going to tell you something. Last night you're going to, no. Because it has to be under a desirable presentation. See, you can present Jesus. There's nothing wrong with Jesus, but sometimes our presentation is off. Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, and what it was, when they tried to make an analogy between Jesus and Moses about who fed who, you have to understand, Moses is a buyer, Jesus is the owner. The bread that he shared, listen, y'all, I'm trying to quit now. Y'all go ahead. Yes, sir. What? Good analogy. And what was said then, there's one that Paul said, one plant, one water, but the Lord is the one that get the increase. Final statement. There you go. You talking about sharing the bread. Yeah, people have to see Christ. You know what? And that's why I was talking about presentation. Here you have somebody hungry and your presentation. How take this bread, you know you're hungry, sitting up here looking up. No. When we started our food pantry here, if y'all remember one of the things I said when we started this food pantry, is one thing to tell people that he's the bread out of heaven. But they'll believe it if you go get a loaf. And you come back and you say, he's the bread. It come down out of heaven. What we have to do as believers, we have to make Jesus obtainable. And sometimes we can make him where he's not even attainable based on our presentation. And we be singing, I'm on the right road now. You stuck at the intersection. Let's get ready for more in the worship.